Good afternoon and welcome to Webinar Wednesdays with IHA. My name is Ginny Costello, Manager of Member Services at the International Housewares Association. And I am joined today by a group from eCommerce Software, our partners. Today, the title of their webinar is Remove the Pain of Order Management. Let's talk about integration. eCommerce has been providing EDI services since 2000. Today, the company's cloud-based software helps suppliers process both EDI transactions and sales from other channels, while also integrating all the data with ERPs, accounting software, and more. And now I will turn it over to the eCommerce team.
Thank you so much, Ginny. My name's Derek. I'm the marketing manager here at eCommerce. Today we're going to talk about removing the pain of order management. In a nutshell, it's all about getting your orders into one place. Now, what does that mean? It means integration and automation. Whether your orders are coming from EDI or eCommerce or maybe some other system down the line that we don't even know of, you need to have a streamlined process so that you could be successful. Well, don't worry, because our panelists today are experts. Now, our first panelist today is Adele. Hello, Adele.
Hi, Derek.
Now, Adele has 20-plus years of experience in wholesale and the supply chain. She's also been with us for, what, 15 years now?
Yes, October 1st, my anniversary.
That's amazing, Adele. So Adele has experience with small companies, medium companies, large companies. She's seen companies grow, and unfortunately, she's seen some companies fail. Hopefully, that's one of you guys out there. So she just has so much knowledge and so much experience, so we're happy to have Adele here.
Thank you.
We also have Ilya. Hello, Ilya. Hello, everybody. Now, Ilya is like our brain here at eCommerce. He has deep domain expertise. He's actually the architect behind our software called Lingo. Now, when it comes to actually getting your hands dirty and actually, getting in there and making the integrations happen and making the systems talk and all the automation, he's the guy who leads the team who does that. So he just has a deep expertise on how all these different systems work. So he is just
Eric, excuse me, could you please just, one moment? Are you advancing the slides?
There we go. Sorry about that. I missed one slide there.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure. All right. So our webinar today is going to be in 3 parts. Our first part is going to be our general knowledge of some terms, and Adele is going to be giving us that information. And if you know all that already, you know some of the general terms and the general knowledge, just stay tuned because Ilya is going to go next, and he's going to give us a real deep dive into why you need to integrate and when to integrate and all that great information. Then we're going to have a little bit of a discussion, and then we'll take all of your questions. So if you have any questions, make sure that you put them into the little question box there, and we'll do our best to get to them at the end. With that being said, Adele, I'm going to pass it off to you.
Thanks, Derek, and thanks, everybody, for taking time out of your busy day to join us today, and I hope you're going to walk away with some really great information. So, it sounds so simple. Get goods out and bring money in. But if it was that simple, we really wouldn't need to be on today's webinar. So basically, what we're really talking about is business-to-business integration. And simply put, it's the automation and the optimization of key business processes that can extend outside the 4 walls of your company's organization. So choosing partner companies that have the knowledge, experience, and can provide and execute solutions that meet your business needs keeps your goods flowing and your dollars coming in. In the case of our company, eCommerce Software, as was said, we're an EDI service provider. We offer a cloud-based solution called Lingo. If you're unfamiliar with EDI, it stands for Electronic Data Interchange, and we help our clients essentially to exchange their key business documents with both their retail partners, their e-commerce platforms, and their online marketplaces. And what we're doing is all in a standardized electronic format. So other companies that you're going to partner with are going to offer their expertise to solve your other business challenges. And we'd like to just go through a couple of those, and so you'll be aware of what you're going to be looking for. So some of these companies will include a warehouse or third-party logistics type company, which is referred to as a 3PL. So their main function is going to be to maintain your inventory and ship your product. You may also be looking at an accounting solution. It can be something simple and very popular like QuickBooks. We're also seeing a lot of new players in the field like Xero, Account Edge, and here they will help to automate the more tedious aspects of your business and company's finances. Next would be something a little bit more advanced, or an enterprise resource planning solution, or an ERP. So that's typically more a suite of integrated applications. And what will happen there is there's going to be a continuous interpretation of your data, and it's always going to provide you with more of a real-time view of your company's main business activities. A few of the more popular ERPs and names that you probably heard of or used in the past: Sage, NetSuite, SAP, Acumatica, or probably one of the most popular, an entire suite of Microsoft products. Also, too, you may be looking at Warehouse Management System, or a WMS. So the WMS is really about providing tools that can be used by your business and or your third-party logistics company, 3PL, to satisfy the unique customer demands and requirements of the supply chain and your various distribution channels. So usually a WMS comes into play when the inventory and the workload is really much, much larger than can be handled manually. So it's an exciting time to be a vendor or a manufacturer in today's retail world. So I say that, and I hope you guys all feel the same way out there, because really the selling opportunities are no longer just about brick and mortar or mom and pop type stores. Now, I know we've beaten to death the word omnichannel, but really it is explaining the definition of that clear multi-channel type of approach that has to be taken, and includes your marketing, your selling, and how you're going to serve customers in a way that allows them to have that kind of cohesive, good feeling type of seamless experience. And it doesn't matter how the customer is reaching out to you. So it's interesting that both the consumer and the seller are looking to have that integrated experience, that feeling. For the consumer, it doesn't matter if they're interacting with you via the website, Facebook, Twitter, or many other means of communication. They could be on their desktop, their mobile device, their tablet, or their Apple Watch. The message that they want to hear and feel from the seller is that the goals and the objectives and the design of what they're looking at are all aligning to make them have that good feeling omni-channel type of experience. Now for the seller, we're looking at integration in a slightly different way. It's great that sales have taken off. We're all excited. The products are in great demand. But how do you take all the slices that we've been talking about, the accounting, the EDI, the ERP, the 3PL, e-commerce, and create an entire pie that's going to be workable for your business? So today, our main focus is on the integration options, suggestions, ideas, and best practices for you, the seller. So nowadays, when I'm talking to a new prospect, an existing client, almost every single conversation comes to integration at some point. So the speed with which the orders are processed and tight margins are not allowing for that manual entry that can result in costly errors. So to efficiently get the goods in and out, bring money in, reduce the errors and avoid chargebacks, we talk about integrated and automating the daily functions that you see pictured on your screen. It doesn't matter if you have one SKU or thousands, if you're shipping from your garage, multiple 3PLs, if you're an e-commerce seller, or maybe you have lots of varied sales outlets. At some point, connecting the dots creating that entire pie is going to give you a really good feeling, a tremendous peace of mind, and the ability to focus on growing your business. It'll also allow those margins to grow, and you'll be able to build much stronger partner relationships. So far we've just kind of grazed the surface here with some definitions, a little bit of background, and now we want to dig deeper into our 3 W's, and for that, I would like to turn it over to Ilya. Ilya, take it away.
Thanks, Adele, and hello, everybody. Before we kind of dive into the 3 W's that Adele mentioned, I just wanted to quickly go over what the integration is in itself, just in case if somebody's not familiar with it. Would be hard to believe, but I want to cover the basics. So basically, if you ever sold something online and you received an order, you would know what the next steps are. You would go and check the inventory. You need to pass it on to your shipper. You get the tracking number, and you need to put the tracking number back into the other system so that your customer receives the shipping notification. And when you start getting a lot of those orders, you kind of start wondering, well, there's a lot of manual work here. Isn't there a better way? The integration is the answer to that. It's a way of taking your data, moving it from point A to point B efficiently, without errors, and just making the overall process a lot simpler for you. It doesn't matter if you just sell online, or maybe you're responsible for processing returns, or maybe you're responsible for processing shipments, or maybe you're an e-tailer and you have vendors drop shipping for you. You can definitely benefit from integration.
Right. Okay.
There are many advantages, obviously, to the integration. It can help you eliminate errors. You don't have to copy paste. It can streamline your whole process. And it's going to free up your time to be able to devote it to other important things, such as marketing your product, finding new sales channels, enhancing efficiencies across the company, etc. But there is one important aspect to the integration that usually gets overlooked, and I believe it's really important, and I wanted to kind of highlight it for you today, and that is using integration to establish a process. So basically, if you're selling to, let's say, on 2 or 3 different sales channels, and now you have EDI coming in, so you're going to sell at yet another place, you're going to have another customer coming in, and let's say you offer your products at all those different places. So when you get an order in, you have a process established where probably the first step is you need to check if you still have this item. If you do, then the next step is probably to let your other customers know that you no longer have this item because it gets reserved for this particular order, or maybe you need to tell them that your inventory just got smaller because the item is reserved. And then you need to pass the information on to the shipper or your warehouse, however you're shipping it, and then you're going to get the tracking number back, and you need to send the tracking number to, you need to figure out where the order came from, and you need to send the tracking number back there, right? So this is kind of the process that you have. Now imagine that you have 10 orders coming in. Imagine that you have 100 orders coming in. How easy is it for you to manage this process? What if you forget to send the tracking number out? What if you forget to adjust the inventory? It's really easy to make a mistake when you have this many documents floating in and out of the system. That's why the integration, when it's built right, is going to manage that process for you. So you don't have to remember to adjust the inventory. When the order comes in, the integration will take care of that. You don't need to remember to send the updated inventory out to all your sales channels. The integration can take care of that. So when when the person who is responsible for processing your orders, when that person takes a day off, your business doesn't stop. Your integration is still working for you, and that's really, really important concept. And we tell customers all the time: establish the process and have the integration do the work for you.
Right, and when you talk about the integration, Ilya, you're really talking a lot about automation in there, right, and the validation checks that come with it.
Well, yeah, that's actually a very good point. The automation is something that's built on top of the integration. So the integration itself is the act of moving the data from point A to point B. But the starting point of the integration could be a click of a button. Let's say you want to review the data before you move it, right? So the integration itself is just the act of moving the data. The automation is something that can be built on top of that, so that you can fire off the integration automatically, on a preset schedule with certain time intervals. Then we have a lot of customers for whom this became synonymous, but they're really, two separate concepts.
Right, but it makes sense to try to have as much of both of those as you can to streamline the process.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's that's where you get to really eliminate your cost and not have a human involvement in the middle. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Makes sense.
I think it's also important that we just throw in that the integration will also unite your brick and mortar type of business, any phase of your EDI business with your other platforms. So it's really pulling everything together into that one system, like you've said, Ilya.
Okay.
All right, so Ilya, so so next slide here is what should I integrate with? How does someone decide, what systems should I, integrate with?
That's a very good question, and the real answer is there is no universal answer that will work for everybody. It really depends on a lot of factors. It depends on what kind of business you are. It depends on what kind of products you're selling, where you're selling it, how many people will use that platform that you choose, how many customers you're going to have. Are you a drop shipper or an EDI? An EDI vendor. So it really, a lot of this goes into the decision of which ERP or warehouse or inventory or accounting system to choose. We can provide you with some pointers here today that will help you make the decision, but the ultimate decision is really up to you. So the first thing that we usually recommend is to talk to your peers, to look at your companies like yours, and see if you have other people who are in the same situation or were in the same situation as you are today, and see what their choices were, and seek their feedback to see if they were satisfied, or look at the pointers that they provide. We also usually recommend that you pick the system that already has an API. This way, it will be a lot easier for you to grow with the system and build it. Now, system with the API does not have to be expensive upfront, because I know cost is usually the deciding factor at the end of the day. But there are many systems out there that have sort of a modular approach, where it kind of grows with you, kind of like our application does, where when you start using it, it doesn't offer you all the features that you have. You're only using the things that it offers that you need today. But when you're ready to scale, when you're ready to take that next step, it has it available and it can be turned on. Those are systems that offer, basically systems that come with different plans, the professional, the enterprise. So you can really take the advantage of that, starting in slow, not a very expensive system, and then kind of see where it goes. Also, I wanted to warn everybody that the default plugins that a lot of systems offer with their integration, that are not usually the best solution. They do not work for everyone. It could be something special that you order, that you offer with your product, something special that customers do when they place orders. Maybe you have customizable products. Maybe you have something special in how you store inventory. So we always recommend researching the default plugins that come with the system of your choosing, to make sure that it covers all of your requirements. And at the end of the day, the biggest advice that we can give is to not compromise, do not settle. If you have something in mind, if you know that your business requires a certain feature, do not settle for something less than that just because the cost is right. There are many solutions out there, so we recommend doing a full research before making a decision.
Right. So, Ilya, with that being said, every integration is different. No one works the same. There is really no turnkey solution for every business. What do you recommend that someone do to solve their pain points just from the get-go to start doing the research or to figure out kind of what flow they need to do?
Right. Well, again, the most important piece is to figure out that you need to integrate. Right. Once you made that decision, then you can look in the details and look at the how and when. But we even recommend talking to somebody, an integration specialist or somebody who can evaluate where you are to just determine as a first step, do you even need to integrate in the first place? For example, we had a customer who came to us and said, hey, we need to integrate with our warehouse. We need to pass the shipping data over to our warehouse. And after talking to them and then after talking to their warehouse, it turns out that they don't need to integrate. They didn't need to integrate with the warehouse. They just needed a good way to pass the data over to the warehouse. So at the end of the day, they just provided the warehouse with the customizable, access to their system where the warehouse could come in and grab the orders themselves. And the warehouse loved it too because they didn't have their system built out to meet all of the customers' requirements. So it was a win-win situation for everybody, and they didn't even need to integrate. So that's really important, to evaluate where you are and to determine that you need to integrate first. Now that you've done that, and hopefully the answer is yes, we do need to integrate. You can kind of look at the time that you have available and make a decision based on that. Also there are many factors involved. For example, if you're a seasonal vendor, you probably don't want to integrate right in your busy season or right before your busy season. You probably want to plan ahead and give yourself some time. It is kind of interesting because during your busy season is when you realize that you do have a pain point here. It's really hard for you to fulfill all your orders during the busy season, and you realize that you need to integrate. And then when the busy season is over, you kind of get relaxed, and then you just let it go. So we strongly caution against that. If you think your next season, your next selling season is going to be just as strong as the previous one, remember the pain that you went through, and see if you need to integrate. And if the pain becomes too much, we recommend that you talk to somebody, see what their recommendation is. Because there have been a lot of customers who came to us that had a situation, and we already knew how to address it because we previously had another customer just like that. So there are people out there who are familiar with your situations. There could be like a value-added reseller from the ERP system where you're choosing, or it could be a consultant, or if you're big enough, make sure that you acquire and keep the technical talent, because it's not just about integrating in the beginning, it's also keeping it in check and maintaining it long term. So just make sure that you seek somebody's help if you're experiencing this pain. If it becomes too much, just know that you're not alone in this. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Now, real quick, Ilya, I know one of the questions that gets asked when someone integrates is, what if I lose orders? How do we tackle that?
Oh well, if you build the integration right, you would want to make sure that you have checks and balances built in so that you don't lose orders.
Right.
You don't lose orders. You don't lose shipments. You don't lose inventory.
Right.
It needs to be a tight ship that you're running. Otherwise, the integration just doesn't make sense in the first place.
Right. And not even that. I just think that more from the standpoint of when do you do the integration. You got to realize that when you're picking someone like eCommerce to do the integration with, we're going to make sure that you don't lose your orders. We're going to we're going to work with you. So you got to look at it as a partnership, right?
Absolutely. And we usually recommend, when you're talking to an expert, we usually recommend that you keep an open mind. And so when you have a picture of what your business process should look like, you're kind of looking at it as a jigsaw puzzle, right? There are multiple pieces there. You have your inventory piece, you have your warehouse piece, you have your online orders, you have your EDI orders, and you're trying to put this jigsaw puzzle together. Usually those pieces do not fit in perfectly. So what you end up doing is getting your scissors out, your duct tape out, maybe you just need to change the picture a little bit. Maybe that's the answer. Or maybe you do need the scissors, and it really, getting help from somebody like a technology or an integration partner would really help. Also, one other thing I wanted to mention is, the technology partner can kind of learn how to integrate with your system using one channel. Let's say you get your orders from Shopify today, right? And your technology partner was able to integrate those orders for you into your inventory system or into your ERP. Tomorrow, when you start getting orders from your EDI company or from Amazon Seller Central, your technology partner would already know how to integrate those orders into your system. So this is not a new entity that you bring in. You don't need to look for an Amazon consultant or an EDI consultant to figure out how to redo what you've already done with your technology partner. So a technology partner should be somebody who can leverage the knowledge and the time already spent with you on building your custom integration, putting it in place. All of that work can just be leveraged for you, making it a lot simpler, and also making it simpler for you because you have one place where you go for all the integration support.
Right, and I really love that concept of be open to new ideas. I know we just kind of touched upon it, but you could talk to your peers and you could do all that research, as we said earlier. But I think one of the most important things anyone can do is talk to someone who's actually done the integrations. Someone like Ilya, do a discovery call, because there might be something you never thought of, and this person might have ideas or a different system that you didn't know about to really make your process more streamlined. And with that being said, what's also really important, I know we've touched upon this a couple times, is that you don't want to necessarily find a solution for right now. You want to find a solution for down the road, something that is scalable. I know Ilya talked about that earlier, but it's so important. I know Adele has a bunch of stuff on that. But before we get into that, we want to talk about the changing landscape, because let's be honest, the retail landscape is always changing. E-commerce and online marketplaces have really changed how we do shopping and how we do business today. But I hear it all the time, and I know Adele's going to talk about this, but I hear EDI is kind of dying. But that's not true, is it, Adele?
To our knowledge, it's definitely not true. It's still a communication method, and we haven't seen anything to replace it. So when it comes to doing business, with a retail store, it is the best means of communication, and it does keep all of the vendors on the same platform to communicate. So we don't see it going anywhere now. There are changes, and like you said, there's the bringing in other selling opportunities, but I don't think we're going to see EDI disappearing anytime soon.
Right. Go ahead.
Well, I think what's really exciting, and the first check on this screen is really about what's happening with brick and mortar. And, everything that we've been hearing is, oh no, it's dead, stores are dead, malls are closing. Yes, things are changing, but brick and mortar is not dead. And I've been doing some research, a lot of articles, and just things that we're seeing, we talk about, with friends, family, whatever. But brick and mortar is still giving you that instant gratification. So you're still getting, even though Amazon can get something to you quickly, you still get to go in and touch and feel the product. And I know, Derek, you're a person when it comes to clothing.
It's about, I know we talk about the experience all the time, but for me, like, there's certain things, and I know a lot of people are the same as me, that I just don't want to order online. I need to go into the store. I want to try on the shirt. I want to try on the pants. I want to make sure they fit me before I purchase them. And that's the experience that I want to get. And I know a lot of these stores are changing kind of how they sell products. It's not necessarily just about walking at the product. They're making it an experience.
Right, exactly. And we keep on hearing that word over and over. So experience is, and part of that comes to be because we are talking a lot about the next generation and appealing to Gen Z. And Gen Z is saying, those are your 18 plus age group, and they're saying, hey, we like that store experience, we still want to touch and feel, but we also want that to go side by side with our online experience. And also, too, there's the whole concept of maybe a store isn't even selling products. So let's take a look. Think about Nordstrom for a second and some of their concept stores called Nordstrom Local, where all they really were doing was saying, hey, come in, no product, and maybe have a cappuccino, do some fashion investigation, relax and enjoy. Or Saks in New York City, they had a floor where you could take a yoga class and, you know, kind of chill, have some bottled water. So the experience of what's happening in the store is different. Now, we also, let's take a look for a moment just at Amazon. You know, Amazon Books. They're going to be opening how many stores? And now you've got the cashierless, tough word to say. Yes, cashierless stores. They're looking to open close to 3,000 of them. Starbucks actually closed their web store and is directing, you know, the consumer to go to the store for the experience or questions or whatever it is you'd like to purchase. So I just think it's an exciting time. There's lots of opportunities, you know, all different directions.
And it really shows that you really have to evolve. And, you know, as this, you know, retail landscape changes, you have to adapt, which is even more of a reason why you need to be organized. And you need to have all of your orders really organized so that you can, you know, evolve. Because if you don't evolve,
Right.
Over.
So it's just interesting, you know, just like Omnichannel became such a buzzword, I think we're going to hear this a lot more. It's something I pulled out of a recent article. So retailers are coming to terms with what is now being called the intersection with bricks and clicks.
That's awesome. I love
it. So, yeah, so that's kind of catchy and cool.
Yeah. All right. So with that being said, I just want to remind everybody to, if you have questions, make sure you're putting them in there because we're about to get to your questions. But before that, if you have questions for us down the line, maybe something you couldn't think of right now, maybe it's a week from now or a month from now, and you want to reach out to you know, Ginny at IHA, or you want to reach out to us here at EasyCom, here's some contact information. I believe this webinar is also going to be posted online, so you can watch it over and over again, because I know that's what you guys want to do. With that being said, Ginny, we're ready for some questions.
Okay, we have quite a few here. What size should a company be when it starts to consider doing an integration?
All right, that sounds like a question directly to me. There's really, you know, no size fits all. It's not really about the size of your company, although chances are the smaller you are, the more need to do an integration you would have, because you'll probably have, you know, 1 or 2 people who wear multiple hats. And the more work, you know, that you do by copy pasting or moving data around, the more of that work that you could offload to some automated process, you know, the less work you would have to do on the integration, the more time you would be able to devote somewhere else. But you know, that's for like a really small company, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're just starting your own business from the garage. If you're an average, you know, small-sized business, medium-sized company, it really depends more on the volume that you process, on how many orders you have, how many items you carry. It really depends on what kind of pains you're experiencing with the overall order processing. That's what usually drives the decision on whether you need to integrate. Great.
What size should a company be when it starts to consider doing integration?
That kind of sounds like a very similar question. It really is dependent on, well, let me put it this way. If you find that you spend, let's say, 25% of your day just processing orders and moving data around, you're doing something wrong. You need to look for a way to better your process. It doesn't necessarily need to be an integration. Maybe you just need to hire another person. But it really is, you know, when you see, when it becomes painful for you to keep on going that way, you need to look for some other way to solve your situation.
Yeah, and I always recommend, you know, just a discovery call, just to see where you're at, so that, you know, someone like Adele or Ilya can look at, you know, what you're currently doing to see if there's something that can be done better.
And yeah, can't it sometimes just be something easy, like maybe integration with UPS or FedEx? so that it's taking tracking numbers and, you know, addressing certain parts that are the true pain points?
Well, that's exactly what it is. If you're experiencing a pain point, it's usually not the entire process that you go through that's painful. It's usually a certain step along the way that's causing a problem. So if you can identify that step and be able to address it, you would make the overall process a lot better. So yes, if everything is laid out correctly and the data is flowing in and out of the system, and the only problem that you have is, let's say, your integration with FedEx, where you need to print the FedEx label a certain way, or it's just you have 100 orders and copy pasting 100 tracking numbers and creating 100 shipments is a problem. Then you would just address that particular problem, right? Actually, it's really interesting that you brought it up, because there's one important thing that I wanted to mention, and that is if you already have something built out and you have a particular pain point that you need to address, find a way to address just that particular pain point. Don't change what you already have built out if it is working for you. We've seen it so many times where, let's say you have your ERP and you get orders on Shopify, and your ERP is already talking to your warehouse, so you have that problem covered. Now you start looking for a solution to bring your Shopify orders into your ERP, and you're talking to a consultant who says, you know what? This is how we're going to do it. This is great. The only thing is your warehouse will now need to make an adjustment to start getting orders in a different way. I would really caution against that, because the last thing you want to do is introduce something into the process that wasn't broken in the first place.
All right, another question. How much does it cost to integrate order management into my ERP?
Well, it's first, it's a trick question. So the ERP in itself kind of assumes the order management, right? The big part of the ERP, of what the ERP does, is order management. But if you're looking at at integrating, let's say the sales channels such as Shopify or Jet.com or Walmart into your ERP, I would recommend looking for solutions that are out there and comparing pricing, but also dig deep and see what kind of features are offered with each solution, because no two solutions are equal. Sometimes the cheapest one you find will do the trick for you, but sometimes in order to get what you're really looking for, it's not a pre-canned solution that you would need to do. You would really need to find the company that would provide something customizable for you. So if you have a specific technical requirement, let's say the integration would be more costly, but it would also give you something that you can use long term, and it will accomplish your requirement and make things overall easier for you. I hope that makes sense.
One more here.
I'm sorry, say that one more time, Jenny.
Oh, sorry, one more here. I want to know about ROI. If I spend to complete an integration, how do I know it's worth it?
That's an excellent question. So, obviously, you can look at your life before and after. But that's kind of pointless, because you already spent the money. So usually what we tell our customers is the best way to measure it is to measure how painful your life is without the integration, and you can do it in terms of time. So you can get your stopwatch out, and with the stopwatch, from the moment that you get an order up until the moment that you have it entered in your system and get the information out to your warehouse and checking the inventory, whatever your process may be, right, you would measure that time. And then you would just simply multiply it by the number of orders you get, or the number of orders that you expect. Give some room for special things and handling special situations like returns and lost packages, because those usually, take a long time. If anybody spent some time on the phone call with USPS customer support, would know how long and how much a lost package really costs, right, in terms of time. So you would really measure how much time you spent on integrating it, and then compare it with the dollar quote that you received for replacing those lost hours with an integration solution. Usually, the people who come to us, they will basically go for it because the pain is so great. It really it replaces that pain. And the cost is not that high, to be honest with you. So we really encourage, doing that kind of measurement and seeing how things would work for you.
Great. And one last question. Technology seems to change so fast, I can never keep up with it. If I do this kind of integration now, won't I just have to do something else again in a couple of years?
That's a fair question. So yes, everything changes nowadays, and I can tell you, we have such an uptick in the online sales and the different sales channels over there, out in the in the online world. You might need to change things, and it really is dependent on which system you picked from the very beginning. Whether you pick the system that would allow you to scale. It also depends on other factors, like if you picked an integration company to be your technology partner, that company can help you switch the system that you're integrating with if you decide to upgrade an ERP, for example, or that company can help you make the switch from one warehouse to another if you outgrew your existing warehouse connection. And that integration company can help you leverage the connection that they built. But like I mentioned, once you have a connection built for a particular sales channel, an order is an order. It's, the requirements could be a little different, but for a company who is integrating documents for you, it doesn't matter if an order came in from Amazon or Shopify or the Nordstrom website. The flow would be the same. So yes, you may need to change. You may need to adjust to market conditions. You may need to, you may need to go through that process of replacing the components of the system that you built. It's it's just part of life. But the pain of that change does not have to be that big. I hope that answers this question, but I can take a follow-up question if I went off tangent on this one.
Okay, I believe that is it for today. And on behalf of IHA, I would like to thank eCommerce, the team from eCommerce Software. They've been a partner with IHA for the past 5 years. They're a great team, and I hope you all learned a lot today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact someone from your eCommerce team. And if you'd like to see this website again, feel free to go to www.housewares.org. And once again, thank you again for joining Webinar Wednesdays, and have a great day, and thank you all to eCommerce.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.